First of all, I want to make it very clear this is not a hostage video. I am not under duress. I am offering these words of my own free will. But many of you have discovered it is impossible to find a place to record where there's not the noise of your house or the street. And so I am locked into one of our rooms in our house trying to offer you this announcement while it's still potentially quiet. We'll see. Wanted to make this video, though, because we have some exciting news for you. We are thrilled to be able to meet together as a church this Sunday morning in 2 different services. And so we're not talking just on the internet. We're not talking about you having to stay in your cars, but actually being able to come into the auditorium and enjoy a worship service together. Some things are going to look familiar to probably what your expectations would be. We're not going to be passing out bulletins. We're not going to be passing offering plates. Because we're trying to limit, opportunity for things to kind of be spread in that sort of way. We're not offering childcare or nursery. And so if you're coming as a family, we want to encourage you, please stay together as a family and keep an eye on your little ones. We know that can be a strain, and so we're still doing an abbreviated service. It'll be about an hour long. And so we want you to know that as well. Moms and dads, we're there for you. We feel that too. And also, if you find yourself in a place where you're happy that, hey, after 9 weeks, we're finally back to meeting together as a church, but you still find yourself in a place of being physically vulnerable or not comfortable with gathering with us, we're still going to keep live streaming for a while. So the services will still be available in the ways that they have been over the last few weeks. Now, some things that are different that you'll see even in this email. Service times are shifting slightly. We're going to meet at 9:30 and 11 o'clock. So there'll be a 9:30 to 10:30 service and an 11 o'clock to noon service. We're going to invite you. There's a link here for you to be able to register to come to one of those services. This allows us to kind of keep a maximum capacity of the room that still allows for proper distancing. And so we need you to register your family. You're registering every person in your family that's coming to the service and joining with you so that we can keep track of how many people we're looking at having in the room. We're going to invite you to sit as family units. So if you've been living under the same roof and interacting with each other, then obviously you can be together. But then we're going to ask that there's 3 chairs in between you and the next family so that that's over 6 feet of distance, and we'll be in a good situation with that. And then we're asking you to head to the parking lot as soon as the service is over. 2 reasons for that. One, we got a half hour between services that allows us to clean everything off, get the restrooms clean again, and the narthex and everywhere else. The second reason is everything we're seeing says that if you want to socialize with other people, outdoors seems to be the safest and healthiest place to do it. And so weather permitting, we're looking forward to you being able to stand out in the parking lot, talking to each other from a safe distance and actually enjoying being able to interact with each other. We're going to ask you to recognize a couple different things. As we've talked about before, whatever your position might be on hugging, handshakes, all of those things, please just respect that others may not share the same view. And so I know we're dying to hug each other and high five or handshake or whatever, but let's hold off on that for a little while longer. Also, if you're wanting to come with a mask on, we want to let you know you're completely welcome to do so. And we understand that and are going to respect that decision, but we're not requiring that of everybody. So we just want you to be aware of that as far as the environment as well. Now let's talk about one other thing. How do we take the Beatitudes that we've already been hearing, and how do we start applying those even in this situation that we're in? Let me just kind of walk through the ones we've already covered and just give some very brief kind of application that helps spark our minds and get us thinking this way. We've been encouraged to be poor in spirit. That reminds us that we're not coming before God with any righteousness of our own. We're coming to Him empty-handed. And so one of the things we can do is we can guard ourselves against self-righteousness. If you're maybe on the stand of we should be doing everything we can as preventative measures to protect our neighbor and care for things, you might see someone not sharing quite that same passion and be tempted to think, wow, I'm more loving than that person. Or if you're someone who's maybe a little more toward maybe wanting to take some risks and get back to normal life as quickly as possible, you might look at a person who's being cautious and think, wow, I'm more faithful and less afraid than them. Let's guard our hearts against that. Let's not give in to self-righteousness, but let's remember that all of us stand before God poor in spirit. Let's mourn. The morning could be that this is a bummer of a situation, right? And we can all acknowledge that, and we can all share that we know ultimately this. We don't have to know whether it came from a lab or a bat or any of that information. We ultimately know theologically sin has caused suffering and disease, and so this reminds us. Every pain we feel due to COVID-19 reminds us of our sin and our great comfort that is found in Jesus Christ. Let's seek to be meek, which means you and I don't have to pretend we have all the answers. We don't have to, get frustrated at those who don't know the answers. None of us have the capacity to see the future. And so let's step forward in this situation with gentleness and with a James 4 attitude that says, as the Lord wills, we're going to make some plans and try and do some things, but we're really going to acknowledge He's ultimately in control. And lastly, let's consider the fact that we should be hungering and thirsting for righteousness. More than getting people to see your political perspective, more than getting people to approach disease in the same way that you would, more than those kind of issues of defending your rights or calling people to a greater level of sacrificial love, what if our guiding principle in every situation and in any interaction with other people, our chief aim was to bring glory to God? If our chief desire was to say, how can I please God in this situation? I think as we even start to do that and we take a look at the rest of these Beatitudes as we move forward, we're going to realize that God gives us very ordinary ways to show the supernatural beauty of the gospel by our response to these grace-based wisdom invitations. I can't wait to join you again. Looking forward to us gathering together. If you have any questions, obviously respond via email. We hope to be able to answer those soon, and really looking forward to gathering together as a body.